I guess he doesn't have a review for Is This It? What? But he does have a Strokes tier list. Oh, Anthony Fantano Hard R is one of the search results. Damn. That's gotta be racist. Okay, here we go. Starting the video over. Let's watch this boo-boo ass video with boo-boo ass opinions.
Hey, everyone. Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd. I hope you're doing...
Let me try to guess what he's gonna do. He's gonna put Is This It S tier, Room on Fire, maybe A tier, maybe A or B tier, definitely for Room on Fire. First impressions, he's probably gonna put First Impressions on D tier. Angles, maybe C. Comedown Machine, probably an F tier. And Reality Awaits wasn't out at this point, so
doing well. And it's time for a tier list where I tier out the studio albums of a particular artist or band. Today, it's The Strokes, the legendary indie and garage post-punk revival outfit, The Strokes. One of the greatest bands out of the New York scene in the 2000s. Quite a few records under their belt that I love.
I forgot about The New Abnormal. The New Abnormal was out at this point, so he's probably gonna put that in A tier.
Quite a few records under their belt that I don't. I mean, I think this will be an interesting tier list to do because there are some records in their discog that are quite classic. There are others that are pretty polarizing. I don't know if my thoughts are going to vary too much outside of the accepted norm, I guess, with many Strokes fans. But hey, I guess we will see. Let's kick it off with, of course, their 2001 debut, Is This It? Yeah, I mean, you know, it's not the booty cover or nothing. Geez, what can you say about this record that hasn't been said a million times? Just one of the best and most solid and sharply written indie rock records of the 2000s. Every single track slaps. The band sounds tight as hell. Julian's croon on this record is godly. One fantastic hook after another here. The instrumentals sound good, the performances are great, but it's not too messy, it's not too, sloppy or anything like that. Just enough to give the band sound a bit of a laid-back, kind of slacker-ish edge. There's not really a song on this thing I don't love the hell out of. This record was, at one point, like in my college years, one of my musical Bibles. Played it over and over and over and over, just kind of knew it like the back of my hand. I love Hammond's incredibly slick and sharp guitar work. And again, Julian at that time was one of the most unique singers in the rock world. I really kind of loved how he brought that bellowing croon.
Dude just keeps yapping. I'm trying to find a way, like a stopping point, but he keeps going. But right now, I don't have any disagreements so far with anything he's saying. Kind of warranted glaze right here, if I'm being honest. Let's keep going.
Almost like a Frank Sinatra-esque croon into an indie rock.
Okay, Frank Sinatra. Comparing Julian Casablancas to Frank Sinatra is kind of wild. I don't agree with that.
Context, and it worked really well. Fantastic record all around. I would easily throw this in the S tier. That's where it goes, without question. All right, the band's sophomore record, Room on Fire, that dropped a few years later, I think was essentially proof that the debut record was not a fluke. You know, this record established a pattern over here, and further
see, you already see the hints of holding them, like putting them on a pedestal, like after the first album. Like there's so much they have to prove after releasing an album like Is This It? He's already saying like, oh, this is proof that it's not a fluke. I was watching. Rick Rubin is the producer, or like the mixing engineer or whatever for the new abnormal and reality awaits, and he has his own podcast, and he interviewed Albert Hammond Jr. in it. And if you don't know, Albert Hammond Jr. is one of the guitarists for the Strokes. And in it, they're just going like album by album, like what their career was like, what touring was like, what recording the albums was like, what shows they were doing before they released This It. And when they were talking about Room on Fire, Albert said that when the album came out, a lot of people were complaining about the stuff they were doing in this album. But nowadays people want their music to sound like Room on Fire, or also Is This It? So like the stuff they complain about then is the stuff they're looking for now. Um so yeah, I mean they're always being compared to the first album. It's kind of crazy.
Established the sound of Is This It? Is it as rough around the edges as Is This It? No, I suppose the production is a little bit cleaner, but everything that was appealing about the band on the first record still translates over here in terms of the great tight rhythm section, the colorful guitar work, that had quite a bit of personality, very slick, but not trying to do too much. Julian, I think, brought even more personality on some tracks of this record, certainly Reptilia, certainly Under Control. Look, I love every track on this, just as I do the debut. Love it front to back. I mean, there are some people that may put this a tier lower, but frankly, I'm tired of acting like this isn't every bit as good as the debut. Yep. Sure, maybe there's an argument to be made that it's not as historically relevant and couldn't possibly be as refreshing considering how many ideas, tropes, and sounds that it kind of borrows from the debut and copies over to this record.
See how he's comparing it to the first album already? It's borrowing a lot of stuff from the first album. And I think it's Brew on Fire does a lot of things better and differently than they did in the first album. Um I wouldn't say it's like comparing apples to oranges. I think these two albums are more like different sides of the same coin. But it's the fact that they're still like just every single fucking aspect of Room on Fire and onward, every album that they release has to be compared to it. Um the sound, the entire soundscape of Room on Fire is more mellow compared to Is This It? It's more introspective. Like every single song is more introspective and kind of more mellow and darker sounding. And the song structure of every song in Is This It is so basic, and they experiment more with song structure in Room on Fire. But they still have, I think the only thing you can really compare between the two albums is like the composition of the guitar parts, the way Julian writes for the guitars is similar in the two albums. Let's keep going.
I mean, look, I would say what this record does is it delivers another batch of tracks.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it. Just by
shut up. No free ads.
All of which are just as catchy. Another batch of tracks in the same vein, all of which are just as catchy as the debut. It's delivered with a slightly cleaner sound that is going to appeal to a more mainstream audience. I mean, if you look back into the Strokes' history, this was the point where, the debut kind of rocketed them off into this legendary level of fame in the indie scene and to a degree the mainstream rock scene. And, this record was them kind of capitalizing on that, but sticking as close to the sound that they broke with in the first place, and I think they did a great job. You know, I think this is a very S tier record as well. You know, I don't think there's really any kind of major faults or potholes on this record.
I did say he'd put it in S here. I was right about that too. I know it said A, but I was like, if he's gonna not place it in S, it's gonna be A. It can be lower than an A. But yeah, I'd definitely put those two albums on S tier too. I could see him, or I could have seen him put it in A tier. But I think First Impressions of Earth is gonna be D, maybe even lower. If he starts talking good about First Impressions, I think he's gonna put it in C. I don't think it's higher than a C, but I think more likely than not it's gonna be D or lower.
I think the band showed some growth in terms of being able to deliver their sound in a cleaner, more mature way, but still have it hit hard. Yeah, the songwriting is just top notch on this record too. I don't really have many negative things to say about it. Room on Fire is just a fire frickin' record. All right, then we move on to the band's third LP, First Impressions of Earth, came out in 2005. This was like the first Strokes album I was really anticipating, hoping would live up to my expectations, and sadly it didn't. And it's been a long time since this record came out, again, 2005, and I've returned to it multiple times. I know there are some Strokes fans that really do love this record, but
For the longest time, First Impressions was my favorite album by the Strokes. A lot of there's some really good songs in this. Let me look up the track list really fast. Look, I think You Only Live Once is the first song, right? I refuse to look at the the fucking AI overview. So, because it's never right. You Only Live Once, opening track, banger. The next song, Juicebox, banger. Heart in the Cage, banger. Razor Blade, banger. On the Other Side, banger. Vision of Division, super duper mega banger. It's not until you get to track 7, Ask Me Anything, is like the world's biggest fucking flop. And then you have Electricity Escape, I really like. Killing Lies is kind of bad. No, it's actually it's pretty fucking bad. Killing Lies, Fear of Sleep, and 15 Minutes. You have like a 3-track record or run where the songs are just really bad. I really don't like Killing Lies, Fear of Sleep, and 15 Minutes. But then you come back. Eyes of the World is, I think, that's got to be like their top 10 songs in my opinion. So is Evening Sun. Evening Sun is also, I think it features one of my favorite lyrics in the entire Strokes discography. And Red Light is also another banger. So out of 14 songs, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4 of them are bad. So that leaves you with 10 amazing songs. 10 out of 14. 5 out of 7. Gotta look up the track list, fake fan. This guy. I could not. I'm not that huge of a fucking fan. If I listen to their music as frequently, well, if I listen to the album, I really don't do a lot of album like listenings back to back. I listen to songs, not albums, really. So like I can't tell you the last time I've listened to these albums like front to back to back. But I listen to their music every single day. Anyway, yeah. 4 out of 14 songs being bad, I don't think that's a bad album. I think max, the worst that album is, that's a B. That's a B tier album. That's a B tier album for me. Good video so far. I'm dying out in my workout. Keep it up, bro. You got it. You got it. Anyway, I'm gonna keep going. I just realized that he's doing a lot of cuts in the middle of him talking, and that's why he just keeps fucking yapping and yapping. And I keep trying to find a good stopping point. But yeah, I'm gonna keep doing this until like you're done watching. So let me know so I can end the stream whenever you're done. All right, back to the Anthony Fantano.
This was sort of the beginning of the end of the band at the time, because obviously right after this record, the Strokes kind of fell into their first long running hiatus, and I could understand why. You know, the sound of this record, it's like a combination of things to me. It's like the band running out of ideas. It's the band also struggling to break away from the sound of their first two records and try something different and develop and evolve, and just doing it miserably, just not succeeding in that process.
He's already fucking clowning on them trying to experiment. Dude on it is this it 3. Don't worry about chatting. You're fine. You're fine. Just let me know when you're done. So I've already been streaming for 4.5 hours. Oh my god. But so I can end it whenever you're done. But yeah, he's like, I don't know. I think the fact that they could have kept making records like Is This It and Room on Fire, but they chose not to. I think you gotta commend that. You know, you gotta commend the experimentation, trying to push your sound forward. But he chooses not to. All right, I'm gonna rewind it a little bit.
Sound of their first two records and try something different and develop and evolve, and just doing it miserably, just not succeeding in that process. And I feel like that manifests itself in a series of tracks, some of which are likable, some of which are passable, but many of which I feel are overly aggressive, feature these loud, blaring, almost
So he's mad that they're out of character. Overly aggressive.
like hard rock inspired guitars that I think are tacky and don't really fit the band's style at all. And much of the time, even when I can manage to look past.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, I mean, he's just shitting on them for trying to like break out of the box that they created for themselves. Yeah. I'm about to get worked up here. Let me rewind again. Wait, is Brooke here? No, she's not. Okay.
And don't really fit the band's style at all. And much of the time, even when I can manage to look past how tacky some of the guitars are on this record, Julian's songwriting and his melodies and his singing, I'm not even halfway tempted to sing along with many of the songs on this LP. I just think the songwriting is weak. The melodies aren't really there. The charisma's not really there. There are some
I will agree. He does have some really weird freaking lyrics on this album. Like I know it means a lot to him, but because I think his mom used to call him a coconut or something, like as a form of endearment. But I think there's like a line where he's like, "Don't be a coconut" or something. Like, what is that? That doesn't mean anything to us. It's really wacky. What is that? That's 15 minutes, right? 15 minutes. The songwriting on that is really weird. Um, there's some attempts at like where he tries to talk about the exploitation of like Native Americans, but it's like tip of the iceberg, and it kind of doesn't really fit the themes of the song. Because there's a line where he's like, "Hostile Indians, we named our summer camps after you," and it's like, I don't know. The songwriting is kind of weak in some of the tracks. It's really easy to point out the bad things, when there's a lot of good things around it. Like imagine you have a plate of like some really good ass barbecue, but there's like a little speck of shit on it. Like that's gonna that's that's gonna like ruin your mood a little bit, you know. But I don't know. That's like really the only problem I really have with the this album is that in some moments the songwriting is really weird. It like it doesn't work with what he's trying to do. Um, but some of the songwriting I don't like in Reality Awaits. It works in the context of what the song is doing, but it doesn't really work here. So I think when the songwriting is really bad in First Impressions of Earth, I think it's worse than Reality Awaits in a lot of ways. But there's also some really good songwriting in here. You have lyrics like in Eyes of the World, you have some really good songwriting. You have really good songwriting in Evening Sun. And You Only Live Once has really good songwriting. Razorblade. Um, I really don't know what the fuck Juicebox is about, but like, I don't think the songwriting is the point of it. I think it's the instrumental is what is the highlight of that song. Um, Heart in a Cage, decent songwriting. What's the one I'm thinking of? On the Other Side is really good, but it has some wonky songwriting. But anyway, let's keep going.
Parts of this record almost that like remind me of some of the more desperate attempts to appeal to the mainstream that like Weezer had made over the years. I'm not crazy about this LP, and no matter how many times I come back to it, that just kind of remains to be the case. Know that my unhappiness with this record doesn't merely just sit with the band doing something different or trying something different. I mean, sure, that is the case, but I feel like the things they were attempting on this LP just did not pan out. Honestly, feeling very much like a D on this LP. Maybe I'm even less into it than.
Say a D, bro. I know this man. I know him.
And I was at one point, but now that I really have to kind of like think about my options here and think about where I'm putting each record, I would probably have to put it at a D. All right, so as I said, following this point, the band underwent a pretty lengthy hiatus, like 6 years or so. I mean, obviously they came back a little bit, before that, but we didn't get the record until 2011. And that record they returned with was Angles.
Angles. I think he doesn't place Angles higher than a B. I need to look up the track list on this one because Angles is. I think the only song I don't like in Angles is shit, I'm blanking on the name of it. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. You're so right. You're so right. It's a super dog shit song. But Machu Picchu is the first song on the album. Banger, Undercover of Darkness, banger. Two Kinds of Happiness. I put that at a C tier song maybe, but it's not bad. You're so right. It's super duper F tier. I don't know what they were thinking with that song. Taken for a Fool. Also a C tier song. Call Me Back. A tier. Gratisfaction. I really like Gratisfaction. A tier. Metabolism. I kind of like Metabolism, but I can see a lot of people not liking that song. I would put Metabolism at a D tier. And Life is Simple in the Moonlight, I put that in A tier. But Machu Picchu and Undercover of Darkness are definitely S tier. I would put that. I think I would put that at a C. I think personally I'd put it at a C. And I think I'd put B. I think I'd put First Impressions of Earth at a super like a B plus because it has a really great moments. really great moments, but like the lows of the album are really really bad. I really don't like a lot of the bad stuff in First Impressions. I liked the reason First Impressions was my favorite album was because of some of the like Eyes of the World, Evening Sun, um, Red Light, Razor Blade. Those songs are so good. Vision of Division, Juicebox bangers. But let's move on to Angles.
When I dropped my review for this at the time, it's not one of my polarizing reviews, but it did get some negative reactions from fans that just were not accepting at all of the band's new direction on this one. I understand why. Out of the entire Strokes discography, while Angles is certainly a rock record, it's definitely the band's least rock-centric record, I guess, with the increase in dancey grooves and synthesizers and electronics in general. It is a weird departure for the Strokes, but honestly,
Mind you, they've been using synthesizers, sort of in a way, since Room on Fire.
As far as energy and songwriting goes, I feel like the band came back sounding refreshed on this one. This came off to me like the band was really beginning to get back on track, even if that track was a different track from their earlier LPs. They're getting back on a track. Now, that being said though, there are some songs, there are some weird vocalizations from Julian on this record, and there are
Yeah, he's right about the vocalizations. Like what is it? Two kinds of happiness and gratisfaction. I think if the vocals were better, they'd be a better songs in my opinion. His vocal performances on those two songs aren't that great. So I'll give him that.
are some experiments on this record that didn't quite go over perfectly. Angles is certainly a flawed album in the Strokes discography, kind of like that confusing fork in the road for a lot of Strokes fans, because you're either going to find the departures that the Strokes have made on this record exciting and refreshing, and if you do, I encourage you to listen to some of Julian's solo stuff, listen to the Void stuff. I mean, while all of that is a lot weirder and a lot more experimental than what's happening here, there is almost like a kindred spirit.
Websites your competitors don't.
Yeah. Another thing Albert mentioned in the Rick Rubin podcast that a lot of the songs that they were writing for Is This It were very prog rock in nature. And this is not confirmed or anything. In no way is it confirmed, but I have some evidence of it. I think the Strokes, well, first of all, he mentioned that Julian did his own solo work, and he has another band, as you know, with the Voids. I think the Strokes were intended to eventually sound like Julian's solo work, and um and the Voids. But because of all the pressure he got from Is This It and Room on Fire, he kind of had to like separate those creative urges and to release that type of music outside of the Strokes. That is my opinion, right? And you have songs, unreleased songs by the Strokes that sound like songs from Angles. And he's comparing Angles to music from from Julian's solo work and from the Voids. 2 out of 5 set done. Nice. But let me see. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find a song that sounds like one of the songs from Angles that's unreleased from the Strokes. Let's see. How familiar are you with the Angles album? I'm learning so much from this, by the way. I got you, bro. I got you. Hold on. There's like a playlist here of unreleased The Strokes songs. In her prime, is it this one? It's not Rhythm Song, is it? No, it's not that one. I think it's A minor 4/4. That you want to know something funny? This playlist I'm looking at, this guy injected his own music in here, like into the playlist. He plugged this album into the playlist. Like I wouldn't notice. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find. Two of his albums are in here. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find the song that sounds like. It must be The Elephant. It has to be The Elephant.
Where collarbones.
I haven't heard these unreleased songs in so long. Oh my gosh. But let's see.
Where pain starts. Jernavik.
No, it's not The Elephant. But there's a song from the unreleased tracks that sounds like Games from Angles. The Is it? This song is called Saga Nuts. Damn it. But yeah, I mean, like, more evidence that the Strokes were sooner rather than later were gonna sound like the Voids do. Reality awaits. Why is this song still playing? He put a virus in my computer that plays his album. Reality awaits sounds a lot like the current Voids. Let me see. I'll give it one more look-see through here. Unreleased tracks by the Strokes. In her prime. Is it This Life? It's not This Life. That's an early Trying Your Luck. I think it's this one. No. Home? No. Is that Soho Shuffle? It's not Soho Shuffle. I think it's Rhythm Song. I just gotta find a section that sounds like Games. It's not. Oh my gosh. Whatever. Trust me, they have an unreleased song that sounds like Games from Angles. But anyway, let's get back to the video. Oh, and I muted it. My fault.
You listen to some of Julian's solo stuff, listen to the Void stuff. I mean, while all of that is a lot weirder and a lot more experimental than what's happening here, there is almost like a kindred spirit
Trust me, bro.
sort of quality to what's happening on those records and what's happening here. I mean, this album doesn't sound entirely to me like Julian's just taking over and doing weird stuff and doing electronics. It's not the most successful creative transition a band or group has ever made, for sure.
It can't be a creative transition for a band because you don't let him be creative. Oh my god.
But honestly, I've always enjoyed more tracks off this than I have First Impressions of Earth. At the time of its
definitely
release,
got
this
C tier.
album really had me excited for the band's future past this point as well. I'm feeling probably a C tier on this. It's decent.
Hey.
It's not too bad. Even though it's not going to be for every Strokes fan, I feel like this album should be at least tried by every Strokes fan, or eventually at some point by anybody who's trying to get into the band's music. And as I said, go from there. Listen to the solo Julian stuff. Listen to the Void stuff. Next, we have 2013's Comedown Machine. Now, obviously, if you
He has to put this at D or lower, probably even an F. Nobody likes this album, but I don't think it's that bad of an album. Come down. It's very very mid. It's kind of really forgettable, and that's bad in its own way. I don't know. Tap Out, pretty good. Tap Out's pretty good. All the Time is meh. One Way Trigger's pretty good. Welcome to Japan's good. 80s Comedown Machine is really fucking good. And then you have 50/50, Lame, Slow Animals. A little bit better than Lame. I fucking hate Partners in Crime. Chances is really good. I don't like Happy Ending. And then you have Call It Fate, Call It Karma. Yeah, you love Comedown Machine. A lot of fans agree, or yeah, they think that this is like their worst album. I just think it's not really bad, but there's not really many great moments in it. It's kind of just like the most it's just basic ass music to me. There's nothing exciting about it. Like the only good the only songs I really enjoy are the slow tracks like 80s Comedown Machine and Call It Fate, Call It Karma. But the rest of the songs aren't really bad, but they're not great. This is definitely like D tier for me, in my opinion. But let's see what he has to say about it, and if there's anything I can say to him.
know my review on
Oh,
there, listen to the solo Julian stuff, listen to the Void stuff. Next, we have 2013's Comedown Machine. Now, obviously, if you know my review on this and you are familiar with this record, it is a little funny to think about looking forward to the future past the point of Angles, because for me personally, and for a lot of Strokes fans, this record is considered to be their worst record. I even did an interview a little while back with Julian, talking about, of course, for the most part, the band's latest LP that dropped in 2020, The New Abnormal. And when this album came up, he seemed quite, regretful of the whole thing. There are some Strokes fans I've come across who have defended this record to the death, are pissed at me and many others for not enjoying this album. But this record is really, in every way that I could conceive a Strokes album to be, terrible and gravely short of the mark. From everything to bad mixes, awkward instrumentals, just some of the worst songs in the band's discography. And while there are some spots of this LP that I could say,
I disagree that these are the worst songs in the discography. I think I think the worst songs are from Angles and First Impressions. Anthony Fantano here. Oh, I never changed my info on my stream. Oh my god. Oops. Thanks for leaving that comment. I'm gonna change it to that. Oh, it's so annoying having to change your fucking info. But yeah, I mean, like, I don't think any of these songs are really bad. I just think they're really boring and lame and uninspired and I don't know, generic sounding. I feel mm, I have stronger opinions about the songs I dislike in Angles and First Impressions than any of the songs on Comedown Machine. It was just a really boring album.
They are pretty experimental for the Strokes, you know, definitely trying something different, trying something new. Those risks go awry in ways that, like, I mean, if you're disappointed by some of the weird stuff that goes on Angles, I mean, because maybe it misses the mark. I mean, the weirder spots on Comedown Machine really miss the mark. My thoughts on this LP are...
What? I disagree. I think Angles is a weirder album than Comedown Machine in terms of experimental stuff. I really don't think any of this is really that in like experimental. I think they were playing it safer on this album than Angles and First Impressions. I think First Impressions has like more not really experimental stuff, but it has a bigger departure from their sound than Comedown Machine does. I don't really agree with that.
Pretty well established in my previous comments in my review, which I very wholeheartedly still stand by. Hey, if you're a Strokes fan up until this point and you're rocking with this record, you know, you're more hardcore than me. You are more hardcore than me. And this leaves us with our final.
Okay, I thought he was gonna put at F.
Has Kyrie texted you back?
I don't want to talk about it.
How was the math test?
Bro, fuck these
You need to talk to somebody.
A project over here, at least for now anyway, the new Abnormal, I and many others consider to be a quality album. Even recently,
I think he puts this at A tier. I would put it at S tier. That's what I would do.
won a Grammy. A Grammy-winning record. A Grammy-winning album, and an album that deserved that goddamn Grammy. In many respects, as they link up with Rick Rubin on this one, this album is really the Strokes going back to those lo-fi basics of their debut, the songwriting basics of their debut. There are many tracks at their core that I feel like tune-wise could be slipped into that record and sound right at home. So I think, you know, the soul of what made the Strokes such a great band is back, is enhanced on this LP in many ways.
Look, we have an entire discography of them, an entire discography run, a 3-album run where they do just crazy, wacky shit. And I'd say they do the same thing in the new Abnormal. They do crazy, wacky shit too. And he still goes back to the first album to compare it to. Then that's like my main issue with a lot of the discourse surrounding the Strokes. But let's keep listening. I don't even agree. Actually, I don't even agree that much that these tracks sound like the like is this it or Room on Fire? I'd say maybe the way the guitars are written in the Adults Are Talking sound like Is This It? Maybe? Maybe I think the only track on here that sounds like Is This It or Room on Fire would be Bad Decisions. I think that's the only track he can sneak in there. I think his vocals on here are on a whole different league compared to Is This It and Room on Fire. There's nothing wrong with the vocals in Is This It or Room on Fire, but he has this energy to him where he's like not really trying. He has like a I don't care attitude in his performance, and like I'm really cool, I don't give a shit. Um but there's like a lot of effort put into the vocals in the New Abnormal. I don't think you can really sneak any of those tracks into Is This It or The Room on Fire and say you wouldn't be able to tell the difference, you know? And I don't know, like I don't really see the comparison that well. The only thing you can compare from this album to any of the first two is the guitars in Bad Decisions. Now we can move on.
Ways. I feel like there's maybe a case to be made that this is sort of a continuation of the experimental spirit of looking at as well. Seems like the band is really trying to get a little nostalgic as well, with very clear nods to Billy Idol, Pink Floyd, so on and so forth. I don't know exactly what caused the band to dig into their influences in this way and creatively wear them on their sleeves and pull them together into this hodgepodge, fantastic hodgepodge of a record. So I think I'd put this over in the B column. Very good, very enjoyable.
Okay.
I think a must listen for All Strokes fans. And just as an added bonus, I would most likely throw the two Voids records over here in the B row as well. I apologize for all the times that I keep calling these things columns and they're not columns. I'm not very good at tier listing everybody, but I think I can leave it at that. You guys are the best. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Make sure to let me know down in the.
Okay, that's enough of that. So I mean, the only one I got wrong, I thought he was gonna put the New Abnormal in A tier. That's interesting. Hmm. I don't even did he even say a negative thing about that album? He put that in B tier, but anyway, it's fine. That makes sense to me too. Let me see the comments here. I don't think anything in my life can replicate the shock of Anthony putting the New Abnormal in B tier after talking about how great it is for like a minute and a half. Yeah, literally. It's an S for me. Kind of like how he gave Daft Punk's Ram an 8 after complimenting it so goddamn much. I think the highest quality music that the Strokes have ever put out. I think. What? Oh, he's still talking about. This is still talking about the New Abnormal. I think it's the highest quality music that the Strokes ever put out. Yeah, it's a very polished album, and there's like so many good songs on there. Selfless. My favorites are Selfless. Not the same anymore. Um, Everybody fucking hates Eternal Summer, but I love that song. And Ode to the Mets. I think their best tracks are definitely on the New Abnormal. Like, come on. Ode to the Mets and Selfless? Sheesh. Those are some really good tracks. The New Abnormal is easily A tier in my head. It's S tier. There are so many good melodies. I could listen to that whole album every day. I've listened to this album more than any of the other albums I've listened, like front to back, all the way through. I've listened to the New Abnormal more. than all the albums. But I still think I don't even know which one's my favorite right now. I can't decide between This Is It or Room on Fire. Um, I don't know. I I like the soundscape better in Room on Fire. I enjoy the entire sound that they go for so much more than I like the sound of Is This It? And there's nothing wrong with the sound of This Is It or Is This It? But I just prefer Room on Fire. Let me keep reading. Someone said I love Comedown Machine actually. Really enjoyable for me, and they listed their favorite songs on there.